Okay, so before now, in the very first video, we showed you the constraints being suffered by this particular joint in the phalange. It was very obvious that she was stiff at this spot. The phalange has like two major junctions. One is the apex, one is the mid. Here, we all know is the knuckle. Now, initially, we had a lot of resistance from the midsection. She couldn't bend up to this extent. When you watch the first video, you will see reality proof of exactly what I'm talking about. Now, what cause effect, rather, what would have led to that? Most times when there's a displacement in our phalange, in Nigeria here we call it biting of finger. When you bite your finger, there's always a displacement. Either she's displaced here, or she's displaced here or displaced here. You can hardly have a displacement on the knuckle region. You could hardly have a displacement within the knuckle region. If you're going to have a displacement within the knuckle region, it's probably maybe the impact on this position was very hard. But however, it's easy to get a displacement on knuckle region when it has to do with the thumb. When it has to do with the other four sisters, most times displacement is always from the mid joint or the exact first exit joint, and hardly from the knuckle, except where maybe the impact was created by a strike of the fist. That's where you easily have displacement from the knuckle. So before now, when the displacement happened, she had a lot of constraints bending even to this axis, because you see, though post displacement, the joints came back, but because she was not stretched, because she was not properly aligned, she still had a hinge, a hinge at the junction. So before now, you will see that there was some resistance. She couldn't really bend. In total. Now, when the displacement was put together, or rather when the joint was aligned together, she wasn't properly aligned. And when displacements happen, the tendons, the ligaments, the way God made our body, tendons, ligaments, they are all attached to the bones. They are not independently. They don't independently exist on their own. They have to be streamlined on the bones. So when there's a displacement of that particular joint, it's only implied that there would be a slight shift of those tendons and the muscles that wrap around. So it's always preferable that when there's a displacement like that, and then proper alignment has taken place, you ensure that you meet a very good physiologist that would also help use either soft tissue to align these tendons in their right position, because you see, the muscles, the ligaments are what keep these joints strong and firm together. Now, this is where we are. Now, we've been able to get her to go deep, and really, really deep, by making her go through stretches. Now, at this point, this is just where we have gotten to. Yes, it's a good one. This was done in some few minutes, but this is just where we have gotten to right now. And she's touching full. This she could not do before, but now she's here. Now she's still painful because this is still fresh. The phalange joint takes a while to heal, but while she's healing, you don't pamper her to heal. No, you don't. She's a very delicate spot, and she's also a very tricky joint. So you make sure that you give her constant stretch, constant exercises to strengthen the bones, and at the same time to make the joints very flexible. Flexibility is key for all the joints in our body. It saves you from injuries, and one of the easiest way to get injuries is to avoid stretch. Now, for her flexibility is almost 110%. What is just remaining is to ensure that this particular joint, the alignment is 110% complete. 110% complete. As I speak to you, the owner of this hand, she's still going through some little sensations, but trust me, sensations were worse than now. And just in case you have done the alignment, she has started touching, but you're still having pains at the joint, don't get scared. Don't worry. You could always use ice to freeze it up. Locally you can just search for a cold bottle of water, really cold bottle of water. You could freeze her up on the end, you freeze her up in the inside. Make sure that the impact is directly done on the joint in question. In that way, it reduces the pain, and in that way, it creates more room for flexibility, because of course the only hindrance you can get is when pain comes, and the carrier of the phalange would not permit you to clench. But right now, the pains are reduced. The pain is still going to be there for a while, but you, the carrier of the arm, on your own, would definitely need to always put her in some warm mortar for a while. You put her in warm water for a while, you reduce the tension between the ligaments, tension between the muscles, and then you make sure you are flexing it. You make sure you are stretching it. You make sure you are stretching her constantly. You make sure you are always stretching her. Take it as a point of duty. Enjoy it. Always stretch. Always open. Always close it up. Always open. Always close it tight and hard. Always open. Always close it tight and hard. And to God be the glory. You enjoy your phalange once again. My name is Ejiro Oba, even if you've not seen my face. And indeed, I have been your therapist, your physiotherapist, and your chiropractor for my beloved phalange. Bye, guys. See you once again. Keep bringing your problems. I love those problems. Thank you.